Texas players impress at Pro Day. Basketball gets bounced from the tournament, and our panelists get a chance at bracket redemption. All this and much more coming up next.
Who the hell's the rest of them? Taylor's not even here to defend himself.
I'm so excited.
Welcome into tonight's episode of College Crossfire. We're all back after spring break, a little tanner and a little bit fresher. And with that, let's introduce you to tonight's panel. First up, we have Mark Skol. Mark, how you doing tonight?
I'm great, Jeff. How are you doing?
Doing well. Returning to defend your crown from the week before spring breaks.
Of course.
Maybe you can make it back to back. And in the middle, we have Peter Sblendorio. Pete, it's been a while, but glad to have you back.
Yeah, glad to be back. Hey, you know, I'm peeling. My sunburn's peeling a little bit, but I'm gonna fight through it today and put together a good effort for the show.
Hey, I don't think it's a sunburn, man. Look like more of a tan for you.
Thank you.
Yeah. And last but not least, at the end, Matt Adams. Matt, how you doing?
Doing great.
All right, fellas. Well, let's get right into it. After sneaking into the tournament as an 11 seed, the Texas basketball team season came to an end on Thursday when they lost to Butler. The Longhorns are ranked number 9 to start the season, but consistently failed to live up to expectations throughout the season. So I know Longhorn fans probably won't want to hear this, but we're asking for an overall grade for the Horns for this past season and look ahead to how the future looks moving forward for these guys. Mark, start us off.
Well, the grade I'm giving them is a C-. The only reason it's that high is just because they're actually in the tournament. I think the future looks bright as long as Rick Barnes isn't in Austin anymore. I mean, you can't blame it entirely on Barnes because he's not shooting every shot. I mean, the Texas Longhorns didn't get any consistency from the offense on the offensive side of the court. I mean, but the one thing that they lacked was passion. And Charles Barkley even said it in the game, but the pregame is like, Texas is never playing with passion. And Butler, all the Butler Bulldogs, they're like proud to wear the Butler Bulldog uniform. And I mean, you go to Texas, University of Texas at Austin, and you're not playing with any intensity. The only guy who played with all that passion every night was John Holmes, and he struggled. So I think they need someone who's going to bring that intensity for a head coaching position, and hopefully Kerwin Roach can bring some scoring in next year.
So you're going C-. Future looks bleak.
Well, need a head coach. Need a new head coach.
Really? All right. Yeah. Pete, what do you think?
Tell you what, I wish Mark was my professor if he's giving them a C-. That's a D. I mean, it's a D. Here's the deal. This is a team that started number 10 in both of the polls to start the year. They climbed as high as 6. They played Kentucky tough. Going into the conference play, looking pretty good, only 2 losses. And they basically fell off a cliff. This was a conference they should have had a chance to dominate. Pretty good teams, but nobody really stuck out. Nobody was elite. Texas had a chance to be that given that size, 5 guys, 6'9" or taller. They just really could not take advantage of that size all year long. 8-10 in conference play. Really embarrassing loss in the Big 12 tournament. And then to get out in the first round against a Butler team, much smaller and much less talented. I mean, there was just so much left on the table. This is a team that I thought had a chance to at least go to the Elite 8 to start the season. You know, started top 10 in the preseason. The way they finished, you know, they get a D because they made the tournament, but if it wasn't for that, it'd be an F. Really didn't live up to expectations at all.
Not even going to throw a plus on it?
No. A plus would be if maybe they won a game.
All right,
a plus is for winners.
Matt,
Well, I'm sure Mark and a lot of others out here are going to be surprised. I gave us a C-. The only reason I stuck with a C- was the fact that we did make the tournament. There were some positives throughout the year, seeing some guard play improve, some big men help. Miles Turner did step up when we needed him at times. But there again, just not living up to expectations, not playing with any reason for the tournament. Seeing Cam Ridley today walking around with the big dance shirt. They didn't even make it past the first round, guys. Come on. But yeah, the future of this team looks okay. Getting a new head coach, either going with Shaka Smart, Archie Miller from Dayton. There's a lot of ways Patterson, this group, can look for. Hopefully, with a new coach, take advantage of our size that we have. Shouldn't lose a lot of people. And yeah, with guards coming in, Eric Davis and Roach, should be a good team for the future.
Peter, I think you've gotten a little too negative in your old age there, man. I'm going to go with the youngsters here, the 2 freshmen on the outside, giving them a C-. A little more positive look.
When did TSTV become PR?
All right, well, Mark and Matt are going to get the points on this one now. Moving on to some teams that are still alive in the tournament. The Sweet 16 begins tomorrow night, and as expected, the undefeated Kentucky Wildcats have cruised through the tournament to this point. You'd be hard-pressed to find an expert not picking them to win it all right now. So, guys, with that being said, which team, still alive right now out of the other 15 in the Sweet 16, has the best chance of taking down Kentucky? Pete, starts off.
Well, it's got to be Duke, right? I don't even think it's even that close, honestly. Look, Duke is in the easiest region left. I mean, I understand Gonzaga is still a 2 seed, but you know, this is the same team that gets out in the first or second round every year. Duke is a pretty clear path, and I think the biggest deal for them is the fact that they have the best player in college basketball. And we've kind of seen it 2 of the last 4 years. When UConn won it, they had Kemba Walker, and then they had Shabazz Napier. If you have the best player in college basketball, you have a chance to make a run. And it's not just him, though. I mean, they probably have the most talented starting lineup in basketball. Kentucky, yes, they have the depth, but if you look at Duke's starting lineup, you have Quinn Cook, who averaged 16 points. You have Tyus Jones, who is probably the best finisher on that team at point guard, a real good floor general. You have Matt Jones, who is a great complement to those big men because he can shoot the 3. And then you have Justice Winslow, who's going to be a lottery pick, and he's about as athletic as a forward as you can get. They might not have quite the depth, but if anybody has a chance and has the talent, it's Duke. That starting lineup is loaded, and they have the best player in college basketball.
Yeah, they may have the best player in college basketball overall and down low in the post, but I think Kentucky's they've got so many guys down low. The only thing Duke may have going for them is a little bit more depth at guard play, potentially.
And they have a couple guys off the bench, Jefferson and Marshall Plumlee, 2 guys who are around 7 foot coming off the bench. May not be the best scorers, but they can kind of negate some of that size from Kentucky.
All right, Matt, let's hear from you.
Yeah, I agree wholeheartedly with Duke here. Jahlil Okafor is the best player in college basketball. They don't, like Peter said, they don't have great depth, but they've figured out the system that they want. Rasheed Suleiman, when he was there, it just didn't seem like he really fit in for Duke. And now that you have Cook, Jones, Winslow, they're all starting to find their place. And even Grayson Allen, a freshman that everybody was praising before the season, he's finally beginning to find his niche for the Blue Devils. So I like Duke's chances.
Mark?
As much as I love the Dukies, I got to go Scotty, baby. Wisconsin's the best team, I think, that can compete with them just because they have – I mean, we said Duke has the size, but Frank Kaminsky and Samuel Decker, they lost to this team last year in the Final Four. I know they want revenge on them. They're definitely going to have the mental and physical toughness to match up with this Kentucky team. And I think – I mean, Frank Kaminsky – the guy's rock solid. He can shoot the rock from behind the arc. He can score on the post. Samuel Decker's not half bad either. They definitely want revenge on this Kentucky team. I feel like if they can beat Arizona, I feel like they're the team that give them the best chance.
Don't you think Kentucky has at least 3 guys that could shut down Kaminsky?
Yeah, but then you get Samuel Decker and then the other, what's his name, Miles, I think. But I think Wisconsin's the best team. They're more experienced too. Duke is like a bunch of young guys. Wisconsin, they're all experienced. They're all seasoned. I think they have the best chance.
Well, Wisconsin-Arizona potential matchup we might get. I'm surprised nobody said the Arizona Wildcats. Nobody given.
I like them better than Wisconsin, I think.
I'm a little concerned about Wisconsin just because of how they can get in these offensive ruts and they can just get stuck there.
All right, I think I'm going to go with the Dukies here. Sorry, Mark, but I'm going to give Pete and Matt the point on this one. So, guys, one more March Madness question before we go to break. The next time we're on air, the tournament will be down to 4 teams. So we're going to give you guys another shot at your brackets here with the 16 squads that are left. Who do you guys have in your new Final Four? Matt, let's hear from you.
My Final Four is still Kentucky, Duke, Wisconsin, and Michigan State. I feel like of all the teams, Michigan State has the easiest road to get to the Final Four. Duke definitely has a fairly easy stretch. I know Gonzaga, they may meet up in the Elite 8, but not too difficult for them. Wisconsin will definitely beat out Arizona. And then Kentucky, it's hard not to go for them. So.
Mark?
Well, my Final Four is actually still intact, so I'm going to stick with my gut.
So this isn't bracket redemption?
No, it's perfect. Well, in one of my brackets, I'm in the 99th percentile, so it's going pretty well.
You're in multiple brackets?
Multiple brackets.
You might as well fill out innings.
I have the same Final Four in all 3 brackets, though. I got Duke, Wisconsin,
We're gonna fact check that
Kentucky,
before the break.
and Louisville. I think they all have great coaches, probably the best coaches in college basketball. I mean, I think Michigan State could make a run. I think Arizona also could make a run. But I think I know Louisville lost their best player, but I'm sticking with the guy. They've been there before. All those teams have been there before, so I'm going to go with them.
All right,
4.
Pete, real quick.
All right, I already made my case on Duke. They're in there. Kentucky is the deepest team out here. They're in there. I'm going to go Wisconsin because they're top 10 in defense over Arizona, so they're in there. Everybody loves Michigan State. Michigan State was 2-7 in ranked games this year. They ranked 65th in offense. They ranked 87th in defense. They're kind of bleh, you know? Like, they have 2 impressive wins. I'm picking OU. OU, they do everything that Michigan State does, but they do it better. And they have Buddy Hield, who's the best player in that region remaining. When they get out and running, that offense is as good as anybody's as far as the starting lineup goes. I'm putting the Sooners in there.
Yeah.
All right, bartender, give me 3. We're going points all around here. One point for everyone. Time for our first break of the night. Up next, we'll talk NBA and Texas Football Pro Day. Stay tuned. Thanks for sticking with us tonight on College Crossfire. We're rolling along here into the second round, so let's see how the scores look. Before we continue, we've got Mark, last week's champ, with 2, Pete in the middle with 2, and Matt Adams down there at the end with 3 in the lead by 1. Now, guys, former Texas Longhorns worked out for NFL scouts yesterday at Texas's annual Pro Day event. With the exception of consensus first to second round pick defensive tackle Malcolm Brown, there were multiple Longhorns expected or projected as late round draft picks that worked out for scouts hoping to improve their stock. So excluding DT Malcolm Brown, which Texas prospect has the best NFL potential? Mark.
Personally, I think it's Jordan Hicks. He's got the size, the speed, and the weight to be an NFL linebacker. And then he also brings that, like I said earlier, he brings that passion to the game that you don't see from most guys. He's always prepared for every game. He's always preparing his body too. So that would definitely look good on an NFL roster. The only, he's also a good tackler. I think I can count on like one hand how many missed tackles he had this season. So I think he's definitely the guy to go with. The only thing bad about him is that he doesn't really have the instincts. He always guesses when he tries to fill gaps. But I feel like if he has a good NFL coach to help him through, I think he can end up becoming a very good NFL veteran.
All right, 1 for Hicks. Pete, what do you think?
I want to go with a story of redemption here, all right? Jackson Shipley didn't get invited to the NFL Combine. What a pro day this guy had, really. He comes out there, doesn't get invited to the NFL Combine, and runs a 4.45 unofficial 40. I mean, that is NFL speed, folks. And we already knew he's a great route runner. He has great hands. He's extremely dependable. And get this. He's played there 4 years, right? He had 4 different quarterbacks, a ton of inconsistency at that position. Despite this speaks volumes about how good of a receiver he was. 3rd all-time in receptions in Texas history, 6th all-time in yards. His brother had limited success in the NFL before tearing his ACL. We've been hearing since high school how Jackson's the better prospect than his brother. If I'm a team, I'm definitely giving him a shot as a slot receiver.
All right, Matt?
I'm going with Quandre Diggs on this one. And I really liked Jackson Shipley yesterday. My only complaint about him, Keebler Elf strength on the reps. Only 8. Anyway, Quandre Diggs. Quandre Diggs. He didn't do many of the individual drills like the 40, but he did have a nice broad jump. He had a nice vertical. Excuse me. But he was very clean in the DB drills. Very quick on his feet. Great on turns. Showed he had nice hands. Really, really solid day for him.
Yeah, I'm going to go with Mark and Jordan Hicks on this one. I think the injuries are what concern you with Jordan Hicks, but as a linebacker, it didn't look like he lost too much game speed out there, but another injury could kind of end it, so I think that's why he's the risk there. But I think if he does stay healthy, he's probably the best of the 3 mentioned. So I'm going to give Mark the point on this one. And moving on to the NBA for our last 2 round 2 questions. We talked about the MVP race a few weeks ago on the show, and we're going to take a new look at that argument now. Point guards Russell Westbrook and Steph Curry are 2 of the top MVP prospects at the moment. But question here is, which point guard would you rather have to build your franchise around? Pete?
Oh, for me, it's undoubtedly Russell Westbrook. And really, it's not even close. I mean, Steph Curry is a great player, but he's also the best player on the best team, and that's why he's in the discussion for MVP. You look at the guys around him, they do make him a little bit better. They give him more open looks, and he is the best player, but when I look at what Russell Westbrook does, he's been playing a lot of games this year without Kevin Durant. He's been playing a lot of games without Serge Ibaka. He's passing to Andre Robertson, Jeff Barker, Peter Sblendorio, and he's racking up 17 assists, grabbing boards over guys much bigger than him. Leads the league in scoring, way more rebounds and way more assists than Steph Curry. Comparable steals, but I think he's a better defender because he's a little bit bigger, a little bit longer. This guy's a top 3 talent in the NBA. I mean, right after LeBron and Durant, it's hard for me to say somebody's better than him. He does it all. He can shoot, he can drive, he's extremely explosive, great passer, great rebounder. The way he's played this year, I don't think there should be any doubt he's the MVP. Without him, they might be the worst team in the league this year. Instead, they're in the playoffs. hat tip to him. If I'm starting my franchise, he's the third guy I'm taking, certainly ahead of Steph Curry.
But I don't know, man. Jeff Barker and Peter Sblendorio, those are they're pretty good
I
sharp
guess I'm not
shooters
giving-
to be
I'm not
driving
giving-
addition.
I'm not
to.
giving them enough
I don't know
credit.
about that.
I'm not giving them enough credit.
Come on.
Yeah, fair enough.
Give Andre Roberson a little credit in there, too. Come
Fair
on.
enough. All right.
Matt, what do you think? Russ or Steph?
I like Steph Curry for this one. And the only reason I say that is because you look at Steph Curry, and since he's been drafted, the Golden State Warriors have built that team around him, getting Klay Thompson, bringing in Harrison Barnes, Andre Iguodala. He has just made this team overall better. And you've seen the growth over time with this team. And you see that with him leading the Warriors to this #1 spot. I mean, I know Steph doesn't have the defense that Russell Westbrook does, but he is leading the league in steals right now. He's not great, but he does enough to keep himself in that position.
I think when you look at Steph, he's a little bit more controlled than Russell on the
Absolutely.
offensive side of the ball. Russell makes plays just like Steph does, but Steph seems like he's a little more in control out there.
Well, and looking at Russell between the two, Russell does have a higher usage percentage of the possessions, but like he is taking most of those shots himself. He's not relying on anybody else. He is being aggressive, whereas Steph, he does have the lower percentage, but he's making everybody else so much better.
Definitely. Mark, what do you think?
It's Russell Westbrook by a long shot. I mean, there's no question. The guy has 9 triple-doubles on the season, 3 times more than any other player in the NBA, which is James Harden, the other MVP candidate. But the thing that's about Russell Westbrook that's so great is that he has that I don't care attitude that you see from Michael Jordan and Kobe Bryant. He doesn't care about anyone thinks about him. You've seen the way he dresses. I mean, he's just there to win games and get buckets. And without Kevin Durant there, I mean, he's single-handedly put the Thunder in the playoffs. He's way better than Steph Curry. I mean, Steph Curry, I feel like he can be shut down. Russell Westbrook, no matter how hard you try, he can't be shut down. I mean, even if you play good defense against him, he still gets a double-double. Not a triple-double, but a double-double. So I think he's definitely the better player by far. You just can't stop him. He's just got that mental mindset that no one has. I mean, Curry's definitely a better shooter by far, but Russell Westbrook's the better player all around.
I can see both sides. I think I like Matt's argument a little bit more for Steph Curry on this one. But guys, speaking of another great NBA point guard, after suffering a serious injury earlier in the season, Bulls star Derrick Rose says he plans on returning before the playoffs begin next month. Guys, does D Rose's return all of a sudden make the Bulls a contender again? Seems like they went from contender to pretender without Rose, and now maybe back to contender. Anyone for that?
No, Rose doesn't make him a contender at all. And the only reason I say that, they were already starting to slip with Rose in there. Now with Cleveland's been gaining so much momentum. Atlanta is still the top team in the East right now. I don't see how the Bulls make it past the second round, Mark.
Oh,
he's talking to Jeff
doing my
here.
job, tossing it over you. Hey, that's because you could see Mark rolling his eyes.
Oh, I could see it
When
right
you
there.
said they were going downhill even with D Rose. Mark, rebuttal.
All right, listen, I know the Bulls, I mean, Rose coming back to the Bulls is definitely good. I'm not saying that they're going to be contenders right away because he definitely needs to get back into things, get back in the groove. But he's not the reason why the Bulls would be contenders. It's the whole team around him. I mean, Pau Gasol's been great. Nikola Mirotic is averaging the most points in the fourth quarter in March this season. So he's got all the pieces around him. It's just Jimmy Butler's been out. Joakim Noah's been out. Jimmy Butler's been out. If the team can stay healthy, they're definitely contenders. It's not just Rose, but Rose definitely gives them a better chance than Aaron Brooks would. And then Rose, what he needs to do is he can't try to do too much either. He's got to dish the ball out to Pau Gasol, Nikola Mirotic, all these guys. I mean, I'm not saying they're going to be contenders right away. I think they should probably get the 4th or 5th seed so they don't have to face the Cavs in the second round of the playoffs. But I'm not going to say that they're not contenders yet. They just everyone needs to get healthy. That's the main thing.
Pete?
I don't think they're contenders at all. And just Mark being a Bulls fan doesn't give him the authority to talk about this. I'm just saying, Derrick Rose, first of all, how am I supposed to count on him even making it through the end of this season? I mean, the guy is out. He's out more than I'm out on the town on the weekends, and it's just it's one of those things where I can't really trust him. He's not even really the player he was 4 years ago when he won the MVP anymore. He's a shell of himself. He's never really been a great shooter, and he loses his explosiveness. This team lacks star power. Sure, they have a lot of nice role players. I like Jimmy Butler as much as the next guy, but I look over at Cleveland. They have, 2 bona fide superstars, and Kevin Love, who was a bona fide superstar before this season. I'm looking at 3 guys who are better than anybody on the Bulls roster. And then I look at the cohesive lineup of the Hawks, where everybody is just playing together. They have a good point guard. They have Korver who can shoot. They have big men. I like them better too. I don't really see how they stack up. And seriously, the guy coming straight from the hospital every 2 days out of 5 isn't really going to be enough to convince me that they're going to compare to the all-star team of the East or the most balanced starting lineup of the East.
But Derrick Rose doesn't need to be his old MVP form for them to be successful. They have a great team around him now.
He's got to be a lot more, though.
Yeah,
I mean, Pau
Pau
Gasol has the most double-doubles in the NBA. I mean, he's getting consistent numbers every night. Nikola Mirotic is doing well, like I said. I mean, they got all these players behind him. So I don't think Derrick Rose just needs to calm down a little bit and then just get the other people involved. And I think they'll be good.
How do they compare to LeBron, Love, and
No,
Kyrie?
I think they would compare better with the Hawks than the Cavs. I don't think they'd be the Cavs.
They still just don't have the cohesiveness there.
Oh, they have a coach, so.
All right, well, good debate here. I think I'm gonna have to go with Pete on this one, because if Rose is out of the games more than Pete's out on the town on the weekends, and he ain't playing very much, so I think I'm gonna give Pete the point on this one. Break time again here on College Crossfire. When we come back, we'll crown a winner and close out the show in our rapid fire round. Stay tuned. Thanks for sticking with us tonight on College Crossfire. Here's how the scores look before we begin our rapid fire round. Mark, the defending champion from 2 weeks ago, with 3. Pete in the middle with 3, and Matt Adams down there winning by 1 again going into this round. He's got 4 points. Now, guys, we go to Columbus, Ohio for our first rapid fire, where Ohio State coach Urban Meyer is faced with a problem that Texas football head coach Charlie Strong would most definitely consider a blessing. Meyer has the tough task of choosing one starting quarterback between Cardale Jones, J.T. Barrett, and Braxton Miller. Spring practice is barely underway, and Meyer told reporters yesterday that the decision is already starting to eat away at him. So, guys, help Meyer out here for a minute. And who would you guys put in that spot? Anybody can jump in. It's rapid fire.
I like Cardale Jones a lot, and the only reason I say that, I know J.T. Barrett. He did great for them in that once he replaced Braxton Miller. But Cardale Jones took him to a whole nother level. Zeke Elliott was a monster for them. The receivers, Devin Smith and everybody else, they stepped up for Cardale Jones. The defense was great with J.T. Barrett, but it was just that much better. They finally had a system where everybody was exploding.
So what's your depth chart? You got Cardale 1, who's 2, 3?
Cardale, Barrett, Braxton.
Okay. So that means Braxton on your squad, Braxton's pretty much playing receiver, huh?
Pretty much.
All righty. Mark,
I'll take this one because I feel like this question may have been written for me. I've been pretty vocal about this, folks. I'm going to be real here. Cardale Jones, really great run. Very impressive run. Big, strong kid, can throw the ball a country mile. I just don't know if he's really that transcendent talent that can go out there and make everybody around him better. It must be nice having a running back that rushes for 200 yards every game and have wide receivers getting open for you. I watched J.T. Barrett play this year. That guy is a legitimate Heisman candidate last year, and he'll be a legitimate Heisman candidate again this year. He can throw, he can run, he's accurate as all heck, 5-star recruit. This guy is a first-round NFL talent. Cardale Jones, kind of a lazy guy, according to what scouts have said. A great tournament run. I guess that happens when you're that much physically bigger than everybody else. But I think J.T. Barrett, the ceiling is just, it doesn't even exist.
But right now, we're not talking NFL potential. We're just talking.
I'm talking about college, though. I think that J.T. Barrett could lead them to an undefeated season next year.
You could make the argument that Cardale Jones, in the 3 games that he played, beat 3 teams that are better than any team that Barrett beat all year.
Yeah, but I mean, look at the individual performances, though. I mean, Cardale Jones, his passer rating, his completion percentage was a little bit lower. His touchdowns, interception wasn't as good. He didn't offer you as much running the ball. He gets short yardage, but J.T. Barrett can make long runs. He's accurate. That guy could win the Heisman next year. I'd put my money on it if he's the starter.
Mark, what do you think?
Well, I think Cardale Jones will probably end up being the starter because there's a reason why he didn't return. I mean, he didn't go declare for the NFL draft because he knew he could probably get that starting job. I know he's kind of have some bad mental attitudes, like he's like, why do I even have to go to school, like all that kind of stuff. But I think, watching him in these, personally, I would have wanted like my NFL team to draft him in the second round of the playoffs or second round of the draft because he looked so good to me. I think.
Well, Cutler's playing QB for you.
Cutler's playing QB, so yeah, no, but the guy he could run over people.
He didn't come to play school.
He could run over people. He could throw the ball like miles down the field. So I definitely like Cardale.
We've got 2 for Cardale, 1 for JT. I think I'm going to have to go with Cardale on this one. I just think what he did in the big games means more. So it's going to be 2 points for Mark, 2 points for Matt. And guys, we're moving on now. A common wish from many fans is to eat a meal, play a round of golf, play one-on-one, or all of the above with their favorite athlete or celebrity. 2 Cleveland Cavaliers fans got that opportunity Thursday when they won an on-court promotional game that gave them a chance to eat wings with Cavs guard J.R. Smith, and with Pluckers being our favorite wing establishment around here on campus, maybe with the exception of Pete. I see you rolling your eyes right there. Which athlete would you guys most want to go and grub some Pluckers with? Anybody, and why?
All right, well, I'm a Buffalo Wild Wings guy. Apologize.
I know solid choice.
I know the
B-Dub's
camera
good.
was off. Hey, I'm all in on Brodell Beckham Jr. because you know what? He's hungry. He goes out there and he eats every game. Unbelievable wide receiver. He's got to work up a sweat out there. I'd like to see how many he could eat. Best catch of all time. Best wing eating contest of all time. I don't know. I'd love to find out myself.
Alrighty, Mark.
Personally, I would pick Chris Anderson, the Birdman, because no one would mess with us, and we get free wings on the house.
Do people mess with you when you go to restaurants?
No, but no one. They would give us free wings. Have you seen Chris Anderson? He used to be my favorite player growing up, so I like him.
Birdman, I like that. All right, Matt.
I'm gonna go low key here. I'm gonna go with Tim Duncan. Falling in love
Timmy
with
D?
it. I am going with Timmy D. Falling in love with the San Antonio Spurs at a young age. Watching him all the way to 2003 on now. It's just I'd like to have lunch or dinner with him sometime.
All right, Pete. I'm giving you this one.
Please.
Unless, or only if you tell me what flavor would Odell Beckham eat of the wings.
He would definitely go for the honey one because picks up some honeys. I don't know. All right, I'm all in.
That's good enough. Gotta get laugh from the audience. Pete's gonna get the 2 points on this one. Now, last but not least, while we have the opportunity, we have to end the show with a March Madness question. The Sweet 16 begins tomorrow, and there's great games on the schedule. So I'm going to give 2 points and the win to whoever comes up with the best Sweet 16 mock headline. Outcome of a game, anything like that.
All right. How about Wichita Falls, Notre Dame rips overrated Cinderella? And make sure Cinderella's in quotations.
Pretty solid. Hey, as a newspaper guy, Pete's got the advantage. So anybody else jump in?
I'm going to say, this is more for the whole, the Sweet 16 Final Four. I'm just going to say unbeaten.
Okay,
Yeah.
I like that. Short and simple. Matt?
I'm gonna go try something with Michigan State here. I'm gonna go with Spartans keep striking.
Spartans keep striking? I think I'm gonna have to give Pete the 2 points on this one. Pete's gonna get the win. Great effort from everyone tonight. That's all the time we have for you guys right now. Thanks for tuning in to another episode of College Crossfire. We'll be back next week, same place, same time for everyone in the studio. Master Control, our wonderful panel tonight, and myself. We'll see you next week. Well, I heard that. So there, a little interaction now.